Today's segment of Couch Talks. I'm coming live at at 8:30 p.m. my time. So good night, good morning, and good evening to everyone. I hope you've all been well. So today's live, I'm going to be going live with the amazing Abby Browne. She's an artist that I ran into on Instagram. I actually met her through one of my work colleagues that I used to work with on Facebook, and it's her sister, and she has been an incredible inspiration for me ever since I met her and was introduced to her art and her work and her story. I had a brief conversation with her many months ago where I learned a little bit about her story, and now I'm going to learn so much more about her story. She's incredibly talented, beautiful, and she's just joined us on this live right now. So if you can't figure out how to join in now, I'm just going to send you an invitation to join the live. There we go. I'm going to invite you in. Right. Are you coming live on your computer or your phone? Because I can't seem to send you an invite. But that's completely okay. This happens all the time. But so the story that we're going to be talking about today with Abby is her story of recovery. We're going to be talking about her business and her art, as well as being diagnosed on the spectrum, as being on the spectrum myself with ADHD and autism. It's going to be quite interesting. Okay, so that's the issue. So you're going to have to jump off the computer because you can't actually go live on a computer. So if you're just able to use your phone's Instagram and just use your camera, and then that way I'll be able to send the invite through. I don't know why Instagram on the computer doesn't actually allow us to do this, but it's very inconvenient because otherwise I would be using my computer. But that's why, for all who are watching right now, in a few weeks' time, I'm actually going to be making a full transition to YouTube where I can go live off of my computer, which will give me a much better image quality, much better audio quality. Everything's just going to be greatly improved. All right. Go. There we go. There we go. How are we? Sorry about that. Gotta love Instagram.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't realise you couldn't go live on a laptop.
I only actually realized that about 2 weeks ago when I bought myself a brand new webcam for my laptop because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be in HD. I'm gonna have a light ring and everything. And it turns out, no, no. Instagram's like, no, you can't do that on the computer.
Well, we learn something new every day, don't we?
Exactly. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself. So for all of the followers, this is Abby, and I'm going to leave the floor to you now. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name's Abby. I'm an artist in North Wales in the UK. And I went into business about 2 years ago. On the 2nd of February 2020, I went into rehab. I've had a
Yep.
massive problem with drink all of my life. It
So
started off in my
just
teens.
quickly, was it just alcohol you had a problem with, or did you have a problem with other things as well?
It was just alcohol. Yeah,
You
I
are so
dabbled in
lucky.
drugs, but unfortunately, I didn't get addicted to them. It's alcohol for me. It was easy to
Yeah,
get, and it was a quick fix, basically.
it is. And correct me if I'm wrong. Over in England, you literally sell alcohol in your general stores, don't you? Like your local supermarket sells alcohol.
Everywhere you go,
Would you
it's
believe me if I
literally
told you here in
mandatory.
Australia we have specialized stores for alcohol? You can't just buy alcohol in the supermarket.
That would be amazing here. I don't understand why they don't do it because it's such an addictive drug.
It is incredibly addictive. I had my problems with alcohol when I was much younger. Like, alcohol is not my problem. Like, obviously, we're going to be talking our stories here tonight, and your story is the forefront. But alcohol was not my problem, but it was when I was 18. Was that when you started drinking, or did you start drinking younger than that?
I remember it very well. I went on holiday to Lanzarote with some friends, and I had my first drink, and it was a double vodka and coke. And you know, when you go abroad, they don't measure. So
Yeah,
I drank
yeah.
it, I drank it and I felt it go from my head to my toes, and I felt like I was in ecstasy from going from a very shy girl to a girl that was talking to everyone in the street. I wanted to be that other girl, and that's
You
what
just
happened
wanted to be
when
what
I got worse.
everyone was doing.
Yes, I wanted to fit in. I didn't fit in, but when I had that drink, I did fit in.
Yeah. And so that was when you turned 18, I'm guessing. So that's the legal age over there, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. My first drink was 16.
Yeah.
When I was 18, it was amazing. I could just go and get a drink anywhere I wanted.
So did
But it got
your story with alcohol start before you were legally able to drink? Like, were you drinking as a minor? Because I most certainly was.
no, because I was in a very strict religion. The only
Yeah.
reason I drank when I was 16 is because we were abroad and you could get away a bit over there. But yeah, I wasn't drinking before that.
So was the religion, so this, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but I know that it was Jehovah's, correct me if I'm wrong?
Jehovah's Witnesses, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Was the religion part of the reason why you started drinking was to like step out of that, or were you just drinking because you found yourself one addicted to it, or that you just found it very thrilling? Like, what's the story? I'm going to leave the floor for you to now explain the story some more, but I just thought I'd ask that question.
Yeah, sure. I was born into the Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't have a bad word to say about them, because you know, everyone's got their own thing, haven't they? There's some things I don't agree with.
Absolutely.
I don't agree with disfellowshipping, you know, but what can I say? I can't change anything. I don't think it was religion that made me drink. I don't think it helped. The reason why I drink is because I'm an alcoholic. You know, as soon as that drink went into my body, I changed, and I wanted to
Yeah.
self-medicate then. There's
And
loads of
were you
people
drinking
religion.
to like mask? Were you drinking because I know because
Yeah.
I'm in a period of recovery myself. I used to drink, and I'm a drug addict. Like I'm a recovering drug addict. My choice of drug was amphetamines, and I used to take them just to numb the pain, so I wouldn't think. And marijuana was also another one of mine. Like for me, it was escape. Was that much the reason why you drank, or did you drink to let go? Or there's
Both.
lots of different reasons.
Yeah, both. There's loads of reasons. I drank when I was happy, when I was sad, when I was bored. You know, it's just in me. If I was a rock, a piece of rock, and you cut me open, it would say alcoholic in the middle. It's just, yeah. And I did
I feel
cover
like
up.
that would probably be the same for me. Cut it open, drug addicts.
Yeah, I did drink to mass, to cover, just to be like everyone else. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a bit now, to be honest, but that's just what I do. You know, I'm
Well,
comfortable.
exactly. We all find ways to cope and stuff like that. So, with your alcoholism as well, like, when did you first start realizing you had a problem with it? Like, when did it become a problem? And what sort of problems did it cause for you?
I think it became a problem. Sorry, Fabian, I know you're watching this, but when I had my first son, I had him very young, and I don't think I could cope, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it gradually got. It wasn't because I had my first son; it's because I'm an alcoholic. But things in my life, I was at home a lot, and it went from one glass of wine in the evening, and it gradually got worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was self-medicating. I was lonely. I didn't do anything to help the loneliness because I was drinking and always
Mm.
hungover.
And it
Um,
probably would have made you feel a lot more lonely too, because I know when I would be taking my substances and stuff like that, particularly when I would get that to a point where I wasn't cognitive anymore, I'd be like, why me? Why is this happening? Mopey, mopey, mopey.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was me as well. I was like, why did I have to be brought up in this religion? Why did this happen to me? You know, everybody goes through something. You don't drink because of
Mhm.
it. You take drugs because of it. You take drugs because you want to, because it's inside
Yeah,
you and add.
exactly. Like we have a disease, we have a problem, and we are learning to deal with it every single day.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's an illness. It's a mental illness. Why would you want to get up in the morning and poison your body again? What
Exactly.
more
And
insane? Why would you want to
yeah,
kill yourself?
I can't
Yeah,
answer that.
I know, I can't. but I can now. I can say, honestly, what the hell was I doing? But you don't
Hmm.
understand that when you're...
No, no, you certainly don't. Like for me, like I started my sobriety about 9 years ago. So I did the maths because I had a friend share a Facebook post of her cat, and she got her cat when I had just gotten out of rehab, and that was 9 years ago. So that's when I started my journey of sobriety. But my journey of sobriety, probably very much like yours, did not happen overnight. There were lots of relapses. There were lots of mistakes. There were lots of errors. There were lots of arguments. There was lots and lots of ups and downs. Like, I'm guessing yours, like, what were some of yours?
Oh God, I mean, I tried to stop drinking loads of times for my children. Yeah, for my children. And even I couldn't do it for them. And I had to go to rehab in the end. Yeah, every part of me wanted to stop drinking, but I just couldn't. It was so
Yeah,
hard. Um, but I listened in the end. I admitted
the
defeat.
first step,
I
the most
had no
important
power.
one.
Yeah, hand yourself over. I'm done. I can't do anymore. I need help. And
Yeah.
I let people help me. I started to trust people again. I think I had a problem with trust, especially when they use a lot of God in it. You can interpret that as you want. To me, it's a higher power. There is something out there.
Mhm.
You know, we're the only
There is definitely something out there.
yeah, we're not the only planet here. You know, there's something out there. How can you not think there isn't anything out
We
there?
can't be, when we look up into those stars, we cannot be the only habitable planet out there. We know
Exactly.
scientifically, just from using our telescopes and stuff like that, that there are plenty of planets in Goldilocks zones. And in those planets, who knows what's on them? We cannot be the only ones here.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I love it. I do.
Absolutely fascinating. Yeah. So obviously, so you've been through rehab and that. I've also
Yeah,
been through rehab. How did you find that experience? For me, it was very confronting. Rehab for me didn't work, but for you, I'm guessing it obviously did.
yeah, yeah. I remember walking through them doors. My mum had to give me a bottle of wine before I walked in because I wouldn't have gone through otherwise. But I'm so glad I did because when I walked through them doors and came out of them doors and went home,
Yeah.
I changed completely. I wasn't the same girl who went in. That scared, vulnerable girl who wants to
That
die.
scared me. Like you had to go in with a bottle of alcohol. I was very much the same when I ended up in rehab. My friends quite literally threw me in there. And that was after a night where I had taken so many drugs. I'm not proud to admit this, but I pretty much almost flatlined. And my friends are like, this is enough. This is enough. The minute I had woken up the very next morning, I went straight back onto the pipe and they're like, nah, this is enough. And they called the ambulance on me and the ambulance took me into rehab. And this was when I was living in Canberra. It was very confronting. And a lot of people, I think, start their journey into rehab like that. Obviously, you've just admitted to it. I've admitted to it. Like, it's not easy for us to go into a facility sober because we're scared.
Yeah, yeah. Were they AA focused? Because my rehab was, and I'm very lucky about that because some of them aren't.
So my rehab was not AA focused. It was actually a drug rehab facility run by Restwell. I think the company was Rest Haven. I can't remember the exact corporation, but it was a Catholic run rehab facility up in Canberra.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely beautiful. It was a lovely experience, but it didn't unfortunately work for me.
Mm. Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, sometimes you have to go a few times. It sometimes doesn't work. You know, everybody's different and they learn in a different way. But I bet it helped you in some way.
Yes, it absolutely did. The one thing that I do remember taking from it that did help me in the long run was the one question they asked me, and they probably asked you a very similar question in your rehab facility, but they asked me, did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy the high? And my response was, well, yes. And then they said, but did you enjoy waking up? And my response was, no. And they went, well, why did you do it?
That's the insanity of it. Yeah.
And that was the one thing that did stick with me, even though I wish it had helped me all those years ago, but it
Mm.
did help me now because I still remembered that one question.
Yeah, it's planting seeds, isn't it? And them seeds grow.
Absolutely. So more with your recovery journey and that. So obviously you've been through rehab, but what other steps did you go through to get to where you are today? Because
Oh,
obviously it's a long road.
it's a long road. I'm 43 now, and I got sober when I was 41. My
Yeah.
drinking
So you've
started
been sober
at
for 2 years. Congratulations.
2.5 to be exact.
Congratulations.
I'm
I
free in
have just
February.
hit 8 weeks today.
You're 8 weeks.
Yes.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Very, very new to sobriety for me.
Yeah, you're doing well. You're doing well. It's a day at a time, isn't it?
It is. It is. That is the one thing that I can't, the program, because we are both in a program. You're in AA and I'm in NA. And there's one thing that the program has both taught us just for today.
Yes, because I don't know if you heard this saying, if you've got one foot in the past and one foot in the future, you're
Future?
weak on the present. I won't swear,
Yes.
I'll just say weeing.
Oh, you can swear all you want. These couch talks are not, they're literally, they're not PG. They're rated M when I upload them to YouTube. I tick the box not for children. These couch talks are completely open.
But you did ask, yeah. So the steps getting there, I tried to take my life about 4 times.
Oh, do you mind if I ask what you and why?
Yeah, sure. Because I had enough. My
Yeah.
first one was 19. This is before
Wow,
I
that's
had,
very young.
yeah, and it's. I think it was more of a cry for help. I was
Mhm.
drunk, loads of tablets, and I did it again and again and again. Um, what damage that could have done to me, I don't know, but I'm still here. But yeah, I mean,
That's the main thing.
yeah, I was put on Prozac, fluoxetine when I was 18 for
Yep, they're
depression.
antidepressants, aren't they?
The depression started quite young. I've had it. I
Yeah.
think it's to do with the autism because I'm autistic. When I was young, I didn't like traveling to different places and staying there. I used to get really homesick. And my mum moved
Mhm.
from Utah to Derby at a different part of the UK when I was 5, and I never got over it. And I was depressed from then because I didn't like change. And
I very much understand where you're coming from being autistic myself.
yeah,
Do
yeah,
not
it
like
was
change.
no. So being autistic and an alcoholic, I think it's a bad mixture. But there's a lot of hope at the end of the tunnel.
There most certainly is. Like, I'm pretty sure you've probably read these same statistics, but a lot of people on the spectrum, whether it's autistic, Aspergus, ADHD, a lot of us end up using or drinking because it's a lot easier for us to cope because our brains don't function like neurotypical people's brains that have the ability, like, I don't know how they do that, but they can plan the morning, the evening, and the afternoon and get it all done in one day.
Yeah.
That's like a superpower.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell is that?
Yeah, like routine. Where's the
Really?
book? Where's the manual? Give it to me.
Yeah. I think that's what we need, though, isn't it? We need a manual almost. You know,
We do, and then we get the manual, and then we can read it, and we go, "Oh, that's how it's meant to be done."
that's it. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I have loads of lists every day. I've got a list from the morning. And if I don't do that
One,
thing on the
two,
list,
three, 4 notebook right next to me.
do you know what? I knew you'd have lists. I knew it. One of them. One
I
of them.
Yeah, I've even got a different launcher on my phone so that when I swipe right, it brings up a list.
Does it? Oh,
Yes.
I'm gonna have to do that.
It's called the Microsoft Launcher. So it's a third-party launcher, and it also alphabeticalizes my apps.
Oh wow. Right. Okay. I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, it's literally on the Play Store. You can literally download it, and it's called Microsoft Launcher, and it connects to your computer as well.
Fantastic. I'm writing that down now, and I'm gonna do it when I'm finished here.
Yeah. It literally is just like, so you know when you turn your phone on and you just got your normal desktop thingy-majiggery on the phone and then you swipe and you get all your apps? It's the exact same thing, except organized.
Oh wow, that'll do me. That'll do me.
So we're getting off topic again, but going back to your recovery and that, you said you attempted your life on multiple occasions. What were the other occasions, if you're willing to talk about them?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
obviously they're a big part of your story. They're always a big part of everyone's recovery story.
Yeah, and it's something to look back on, and you think I'm not going to go there again. It's horrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
every suicide attempt was when I had a drink, and you know, got to the point where I was in despair, and took the nearest tablets next to me, and ended up in hospital. The last one happened the day before I went to rehab, where I didn't take any tablets, I don't think, but I tried to jump out the window. Um, and the funny story is, it's not funny at all, but the funny story
No.
is the window I tried to jump out of, there was like a roof underneath it. So if I jumped out, I would have only probably broke my ankle or something, but I was there going, no, I'm going to kill myself and jump out the window
Yeah.
and kill
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. I understand that one completely. I actually was in one of my meetings the other day, obviously for anonymity and stuff like that, never mentioned names, but somebody shared a very similar story. And the problem with these stories is the reality of them, and this is where I think the lessons come in, because I've had a few attempts myself. I attempted a few years ago, when I had my last slip up. Like, I'm not proud of it, but my last slip up on amphetamines was 3 years ago. And that was just after my divorce and that. And I was actually on the phone to my mother at the time, dodging traffic, quite literally dodging traffic. And it's in those moments where we start realizing the reactions and the reality of our situation. And that really, I think, helps us get with sobriety, because my actions have significant impacts on the people that were involved in my suicide attempts. And that's probably very much the realization that you came to as well, I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
Mm.
it's not just that; it's the people you hurt as well, isn't it? My poor
It
mum
is.
has everything with me. My children have seen things they shouldn't have seen. Even though he was a functioning alcoholic, they've seen things, and it's my job now to be a role model to them and
Mm-hmm.
to let them live their life. Let my mum stop worrying. Let my children bring my children up the best they can to the best, of their abilities, and to help
Mm-hmm.
them. There's one
Well,
child.
you're an incredible role model. Like, look at the artwork behind you. You are an incredible artist, an absolute inspiration. That's one of your most recent works, isn't it? The awesome piece that you've just done.
This one here, yeah, it's my lady with the leaves, and it's
Yeah.
called all more.
So am I right in saying that with your art, this is how you definitely, like, this is how you found your recovery?
Yes, I've always done my art, painting and drawing since a child. And it wasn't until I got sober, when I came out of rehab, that I, I started painting again, and I was getting better at it because I wasn't drunk. And my first works were very black and white and dull, and as I've gone on, I've started to use colour, and
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with colour
Color is
now.
so scary.
It's scary, but it's fascinating, once you get into it and start exploring and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And you can see, probably if you look through the Instagram page, how my work's gone really dark. It's quite vibrant and
I
life in
have
colour.
definitely seen that, because I've had a very good stalk of your Instagram page. I absolutely love all your pieces. Like, the piece to me that stands out so much, I'm terrified, and I cannot tell you this enough. Mortified of horses. They are a deep set fear for me. For an Irish traveller, that just sounds wrong for me to tell you that I'm terrified of horses. But that horse that you did, like, you know the piece that I'm talking about,
Free spirit, yeah.
breathtaking, breathtaking.
That's
It
now
is
in,
by far one of the favorite pieces that you've done.
I think that's now in the US, New
Oh, is
York, I
it?
think. Yeah, it went within a week after I put it up.
I'm not surprised. It was absolutely stunning. Me, I'll stick
Another-
to my artwork being on this.
What is that?
It's a graphic
Oh, it's a
tablet. So
tablet.
this is how I,
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah.
I've never tried
Have you
it.
got, do you do these?
No, I've never tried it, to be honest.
You know what? I will send you through this one here. So I broke my tablet the other week because of my dog, which is where I used to do all of my drawing and my sketches and my tattoo flashes and stuff like that. So I had to get myself an inexpensive one, and this cost me $85. And I shit you not, it's incredible.
Is it really?
I actually think I prefer using it over my Samsung tablet.
Right, okay. I'll write
Like
it down.
it's really good. It's an XP Pen Pro version 2,
Oh, right, okay.
and it cost $85 off of Amazon. I was absolutely blown away because I'm like, oh, I just need a cheap budget one to get me through until I fix my tablet. And then I just started drawing. Like you probably saw on my Instagram story, that dragon thing that I'm drawing at the moment. Don't ask me
Yes,
what it is
yeah,
exactly. My art style is a little bit abstract, but I've done all of that on this
fine.
tablet.
Yeah. It's interesting what comes out of you, isn't it?
It is a man of
Mm,
many talents, just like yourself.
mm, yeah. And it's therapeutic.
So exactly, and that's the best thing about art as well. In our recovery, I'm finding myself doing a lot more art. I'm definitely throwing myself into my business and my jewelry a lot more. And
Yeah.
like you could probably explain the benefits of this a lot better than I can because me being in new sobriety and for everyone, absolutely, please, Ash, drop a link for that tablet now because Ash is my friend who actually got it for me.
Oh, right, okay.
Um, but feel free to explain to us like the real benefits of art and how it's helped you in your recovery because it's so beneficial for me at the moment, but you'd have a much better understanding of it.
Yeah. I think when you, at university, we used to have journals. This is a good example. And a journal is a book where you paint or draw or anything, get your feelings out. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you save them. And to look back now at that journal is really interesting. It's what you could tell what I was going through,
Mhm.
what what paint I drank and I was painting at the same time, and you could tell where my head was at. And I think it's when you've done something, when you've painted something, it's there in front of you. It gives you a bit
Mhm.
of self-worth, self-confidence. That came out of me, and
It does. It really does.
letting your feelings out onto canvas, whether it be through color or anything. It could be photography, it can be ceramics. It's getting what's out of there onto something that you can see. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. Like the dragon that I've been drawing at the moment, for me, like it's dark, it's repressive, and I know I've got a lot of these thoughts in my head because I'm very fresh in sobriety. Like you're still very fresh in sobriety. The first 3 years from every recovering addict and every recovering alcoholic, I've always said the first 3 years are some of the hardest, and most people will relapse. And you're coming up to that in the third
Yeah,
year when things start to go really hard again. And for
yeah,
me, I'm in my first year as well, and that's also the hardest year. That from everyone that I've heard, like the first couple of years is hard. The third year and the first year are the hardest. But for
mm,
me, getting it all on the pen and paper is just releasing these feelings in me that I didn't realize I had, like these emotions, this just like deep set anger. And I think that's where this image that I'm drawing at the moment comes from. And I think that's why I'm kind of forming it into a dragon, because dragons have that metaphysical strength of protection and energy and dominance and just power.
yeah, yeah. I love dragons.
Mm,
I think it's a spiritual thing, isn't it? It's a very spiritual thing, art, because
it
you
is.
create something from what's in here. What you believe in, what's coming through. It's coming through onto paper, and you're seeing that.
Mhm. And
That's
that's like the true depiction of your work as well. Like you are literally painting what you're seeing in your own mind's eye. Like that stag behind you is absolutely breathtaking.
me. Yeah,
Like I,
I forgot what I called it
it's
now.
like
Lord
that
of the
is
Forest. That is.
absolutely stunning.
It's my friend who looks after me.
I deeply resonate with stags because for me, like if I was to say that I believed in a deity or a higher power, I definitely believe in what's known as Cernunnos. He's the man of the woods, the god of the hunt. He's known as and depicted as the horned god. He's a very old Celtic pagan god, and often by many
Mm.
Christians is believed to be the devil because he's got the horns. And his spiritual representation is the stag,
Wow.
which is the king of the forest. And he himself is the king of the forest, the god of the hunt.
Oh my God. I thought that's called Lord of the Forest.
Well, there you go.
How funny is that? See, I just paint what
See?
I feel I've got a connection with.
And you've definitely gone straight to the pure connection of what the stag represents. And at the moment as well, it's their breeding season too.
Is it really? Oh wow.
Yep. So so last week I did a live with my beautiful friend Elik, and at the moment he's waking up to the stags out the front of his house in Italy because he lives in the hills, singing their mating songs.
Oh, I think I'm gonna have to paint a
And
female when I go.
oh, that would be incredible. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and there'll be
it's literally their season at the moment.
wow. So that's in Italy, is it?
Yes.
Oh wow, you'd have to get some
So
videos.
yeah, so so Ilek is in the north part of Italy. I cannot quite remember where it is, but he's in the highland region. He quite literally almost lives on top of a mountain.
Oh my,
Absolutely breathtaking views. Yes.
that'd be fantastic. I've always wanted to
And
live in a
he, like ourselves, is an artist as well. He's got himself a cellar that he works like an old medieval cellar. That's his emporium, and he works and does all of his studio work in there.
Oh wow, that sounds fantastic.
So
Oh,
going on to a different topic now. How do you find with your art? How does it work with your autism?
I'm a very what's the word? Reserved, sort of inward person.
Yeah.
I, I don't talk. I know it sounds like I do talk easily, but I don't feel the need to talk much. I feel more of a need to get it down through art
Yeah.
than through my mouth.
I'm very much
So
the
that's
opposite. You can't shut me up.
so that's why I think I started when I was very young. I used to in school breaks at school. I used to draw and colour in and stuff rather than playing with my friends. My mum always used to think, that's a bit, my sister doesn't do that. I've got an older sister. She's completely different.
She is.
Um,
She's absolutely lovely, Rebecca.
yeah, Rebecca, yeah. So I forget you know her.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
used to work with her. I used to go live with her. That's how I met
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I forgot what you asked me now.
So I was just asking about
Oh,
autism and Aspergus and your art and how it affects you and how you actually portray it as well.
yeah. So, like I say, I think it's helped me to express myself. I can't do it like,
Verbally.
verbally, yeah. I have to do it through my art, and it
And
helps.
what styles of art do you practice? Are you just a painter? Like what is your niche? Like you are an incredible painter, but obviously as an artist myself, we don't just do one style.
No, yeah, I've gone through that, all of that. Um, I guess I want to put beauty onto a canvas. I want to get to the most beautifulest part of a painting, and I'm searching for that beauty.
Yeah,
And it's from my heart. I want to get my heart and what I've seen and what I feel mostly onto a canvas. And that's what I want to do. That's my niche. That's what I feel I need to do. Whether that be through
that is
brush or theme.
absolutely like that is a beautiful goal to have.
Mm.
With your paints, do you use oils? Do you use acrylics? Like what is your medium to bring the beauty out?
I think I use acrylics because it is quick. Sorry, it's not quick. It's never quick. It's quick drying, and you can do it in
Mhm.
layers. I do use oil, but because I do a lot of commissions as well, I tend to use acrylic because it dries quicker, and I
Yeah.
can work with it. But I mean, acrylic, it's a lovely paint. There's colours. If you get the professional ones, the colours are amazing. The
Are there any
thick.
brands that you could recommend?
Yeah, Windsor and Newton Professional.
Yeah.
And also Liquitex. I'm
I
sure you
have
know.
heard very good things about Liquitex, but that's actually quite a hard brand to get here in Australia. But Windsor and Newton is definitely something that I do get.
Yeah, so you've got Liquitex is a very, it's very quite runny, but it's strong pigment. It's like more like an ink.
Yeah.
Whereas you get the Windsor and Newton.
And they come in
It's
those beautiful tubes.
yeah, I love them. And it's thick and it's rich. You know, it spreads. You put water to it, it spreads, and the color holds.
It
Whereas you
reminds
get
me very much of a pastel,
the pastel.
like a pastel paint. I don't know if you have them.
No, I don't think I've
Like it's
tried
a,
them.
a pastel. It's something that I remember from school. Like it was almost like it was like a mixture between like an oil and an acrylic, but it was just like compressed pastels. Like it was just like almost like a clay, like a
You know what?
liquid, very thick. Maybe that's something that we had over here. I haven't seen them in years. Maybe because they were toxic, they took them off the market. Who knows?
Oh,
But it's just a very like, it's very almost reminiscent of painting with oil as well, isn't it? Like using oil because oil paints can be quite thick too, aren't they?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all a learning curve, isn't it? You get your different paints, different paintbrushes. The paint, so you know, some of them you mix more of water, some of them you don't. The colours that mix together can make different colours than other paints can. It's you've got to
Mhm.
practice to get to where you want to be as your
Yeah,
own
and then you've
individual.
also got to find your own brands that you like to use as well, because like a lot of people probably wouldn't like to use the paint that you're using because it just doesn't work for how they like to paint.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you get when you start practicing. I started to sort of use these sort of paints here, which are Galleria.
Yeah.
Um, and they're good to practice with. Pigment's good in them. But I think once I started doing commissions, I was getting a bit nervous, you know. I wanted to try the more professional paints, and they do look stunning.
Hmm.
So
And they would
it's just
last a lot better, and they'd probably have a lot more UV retention to them as well, wouldn't they?
yeah, yeah. The finish is really good. I mean, sometimes you don't have to put a varnish over the top because the finish of the paint is quite shiny and you know.
And Lux and that, just absolutely beautiful.
Say again.
I said Lux, as in like beautiful. I have a feeling my internet cut out because I just had nothing but pixels run across my screen.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's the joys of coming live from the woods.
yeah, and the signal's not too good here either. And we're not in the woods, so
Which,
I think
which is
we're right.
surprising because you being in England, I like in Wales and that, I would have figured you'd have remarkable internet connection.
It's terrible. Where we are, it's terrible because we're in a small village.
Yeah,
So, but I mean, you know, it's obviously working now. But yeah,
that's very true. So
Odds-
let's go back to your recovery story. So you were telling me before that you actually met your partner through your recovery. Like, I'd love to hear about that because he's been obviously a very significant role in your recovery as well, from the little brief bit that you told me about him.
yeah. Darren, my partner. I remember when I walked into the doors the first day. He was there, and I had no idea he had any interest in me whatsoever. He was very good at hiding it, really good.
Yeah.
Um, he
Well,
was
isn't the rule of thumb meant to be first year of sobriety, no relationships?
yes, it is. Yeah, Darren was 2 years. I was a few weeks. You're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to go through a year of sobriety because when you're in your first year, you're not really, your head's not in the right place. You need to ground yourself a bit. You know, you make decisions that probably you shouldn't really make. Like a lot of people get a
Yeah.
dog, get into relationships and blah, blah, blah. And it makes things harder. You just got to make that year as simple as possible. But with Darren,
Hmm.
I met him and we started talking. He was helping me a lot. And we sort of went on a few dates and it went from there. And to be honest, he's not my higher power. my higher powers up there. You know, I was warned about this. You know,
Yeah.
Darren isn't there sober. You're supposed to get sober yourself. But he has helped me because he's a fantastic man. He
And
knows
being
so.
a recovering addict himself, he would know what you're going through as well, and he'd be able to understand the pain.
Yeah, the connection there. He understands everything about me, and I understand what he doesn't even have to speak sometimes. You know, we were meant to be together. You find that person,
That
and you're meant.
that is absolutely beautiful. Like that, he's not your higher power, but for you to find him through your recovery, that in a way is a form of a higher power as well.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I believe so. Yeah, but that you know, I was at that. I was at that. I've been to AA a few times, and I was at that stage. If it had happened a few years back, maybe it shouldn't have been a good idea, you know, to get
Hmm.
into a relationship because maybe it would have become my high pie. But I was at that stage. I was listening. You know, I heard the story about people getting into a relationship and using their partner to help them to get better and not making the effort themselves. But
Yeah, because
I did.
first and foremost, recovery is always meant to be yourself first. Like recovery, this is something that I learned, and you've probably learned this in AA yourself. Obviously, you've been in AA a lot longer, but to recover is a selfish journey. You have to be selfish.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. There was in rehab. They did this test. Well, it wasn't a test, but they asked everybody in the room what is the most important thing in life right now. And we had recovery, we had children, home, something else, and nobody. It was me and one person, but everybody else in the room was about 15 people. Didn't put recovery first, and it is recovery because if you're not sober, you can't look after your children, have a home, go to work. You know, none of that is important.
Mm.
You being sober is the most important thing.
100%. And that's been the hardest pill that I've had to learn to swallow recently because before I went into my sobriety, and because of it now, I've actually lost contact with half of my family. Like me going sober, my family, like before I had to go sober, they cut me off because they'd had enough. Like there's obviously a lot more to the story, but for reasons and stuff like that, I won't go into detail for it because they've asked me not to, and I'm going to respect their wishes. And I refuse to slander, even though I'm not in the wrong for this situation. But that's the pain of recovery is you lose people and you've got to be selfish and you've got to put yourself first. Because if
Yeah,
you don't, you're just going to end up hurting yourself.
yeah. I mean, me and my sister, I think my sister cut me off a bit because obviously I was hurting her as well, and she could see everything falling apart, and she couldn't help me, and she did help me a hell of a lot, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And we've got a really good relationship now. But um, yeah, thankfully my family stood by me in your situation and in a lot of people's situation. That doesn't happen. It's really sad. But the thing is
No.
that it could happen. You know, it does happen. People start trusting you again as you go on.
See, for me, without going into too many details, it's not that they don't trust me. It's
Mhm.
they're accusing me of things that never happened.
Right, that's a
So
different story.
it's a very, very different story, and I don't want to go into details because they asked me
Yeah.
not to. So I'm respecting their wishes and not putting anything online in these sort of formats because that can become very, very bad legally. But
Mhm.
I wish it was that case. So for me, I've had to actually, it's me who's had to cut them off,
Yeah, for your own sake. Yeah,
not the other way around, for my own safety, 100%.
yeah, yeah. You have to be selfish in order to live,
Hmm.
to make
So
to life.
exactly. So I'd love to know, like, your overall experience with AA. What is your verdict on it? Like, how has it changed your life?
I remember going to my sister again. I've got a lot to thank my sister, and I've not thanked her enough. She took me to my first AA meeting, and in Northwich, where she lives, and it was like this room is where I fit in. I've never fitted in anywhere else. These people are like me. And I was listening to them and I couldn't believe they were telling their story, which was like my story. And from then I fit, it was just, it was magic. I couldn't explain it.
Mhm.
Magic in the room. First time though, unfortunately, only lasted 8 weeks. And then I went back out there again and it took another 10
So
years for
you
me.
lasted to exactly where I am right now.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember what it was. It was because I was bored. And
That's the problem I am quite literally dealing with right now.
yeah,
What do I do when there's nothing to do?
yeah. But your thing is, the more you go on in sobriety, the more you'll fill in them voids and you don't think about drink anymore.
Hmm.
You do now and again, but you don't have that physical craving. Sometimes it's mental, but as you go on, you fill in them voids. So now I don't even think about them voids anymore. I do things and that, this, that, and that. And you have to, in the beginning, you have
Those
to force.
voids for me are so hard right now. Like today, I had that moment where I was sitting there and I was just like, my God, I just want to have a cone. I just want to have a smoke. Like I've got nothing to do. So what I did was I started drawing some more.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Put your energy into something productive, something you're going to enjoy. You'll find out what you enjoy in life, what music, what food, what everything that, hobbies. You'll find that out. You'll get to know yourself. I've got to know myself through sobriety, and it's weird. It's like, oh, I'm actually this person. Oh, this upsets me. This doesn't anymore. You know, I
Yeah,
can do
absolutely.
this. I can. So things change. Every day changes, and you have to live in the day.
And that's the thing with sobriety too. Like you spend your whole life taking substances and drinking and smoking, all that sort of stuff, thinking you know who you are. But at the end of the day, you've only just run away from who you are. And that's one of the big lessons I've been learning in the rooms.
Yeah, you never actually find out because you're drinking on every emotion. You don't know how to deal with your emotions when you're raw in sobriety because you drank on them.
No,
You've numbed it off, so everything's new and fresh and scary. In your first few weeks, you're learning. This is a learning curve. It's hard, but you get there. You do.
absolutely. Like, and if there's anything that you could say to anybody that's watching here right now who is struggling with these addictions, because my friend Layla,
Mm.
who's in the group, she started sobriety with me, so we both decided to go sober together. She's had a few slip ups, but obviously she's got a lot of health conditions. But what could you say to the recovering addict? Because we've got about 13 minutes left on this, and we can go back live again if you want. If not, we can cut it off at that. But what would you say to the recovering addict or the person wanting to get themselves clean right now? Like, what advice do you have?
The advice I'd first give you is you can't do this alone. You need other people who are in sobriety who have been through it to help you, and that helps them in return. Um, Definitely keep a day at a time. Keep yourself busy with things that you enjoy. Rest, sleep. Your body's healing. Sleep as much as you can. I know you might feel lazy, but it's not lazy because your body is healing in them first few
Mhm.
months. And be kind to yourself. Seriously, just be kind to yourself. You've had an illness. You've been suffering and poisoning your body for a long time. You need to love yourself more. Try and get to that stage where you're starting to love yourself more. It's hard at the start, really
It is
hard.
very, very
But
hard.
immerse yourself with everybody who wants to help you. Take it. It's a gift.
Mm.
Go to
I,
AA.
I completely agree. If there's any advice that I can give anybody watching right now, and it's one of the hardest things that I've had to learn to do, but when you're getting sober, like you said, surround yourself with everybody that wants to help you because you can't do it alone. But do not surround yourself with people who wish to continue using.
No, it's hard. You have to cut them off. I had to cut off nearly everybody from rehab because I had someone ringing me at 3 a.m. She started drinking again. Someone else who ringing me threatened to slice his wrist. These were all sober in rehab. And it was horrible. And Darren helped me, but you have to cut these people off in the end. You
Yeah.
have to be self protect yourself. And I did that. I could have easily gone over to her house and started drinking with her.
And that would not have helped you at all.
No, I would have gone back to square one. I probably wouldn't be alive now, to be honest.
Yeah. Another question. So through your AA and that, do you have a sponsor?
I don't, and I really should have a sponsor. I did have one, but it was NA, and I was more AA.
Yeah.
So there can have a sponsor in an NA, but it's kind of different in a way.
NA
Um,
is very different because I'm in NA myself, and it's very, very bottom heavy. Whereas I like it's got a lot of our problems that like they're the same as an alcoholic's problems, but ours are just everywhere. We seek multiple substances, whereas the alcoholic seeks a substance. So for us, having an NA sponsor really wouldn't benefit an alcoholic, and me trying to get an alcoholic sponsor really wouldn't benefit me because the alcoholic isn't going to understand that I want to go and get some Coke at 4 o'clock in the morning because I don't want to go to sleep. Whereas they'd be like, but why do you want Coke?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all an addiction, isn't it? But it's a different addiction, and you need to have someone there who's gone through what you've gone, even if it is an addiction, the same sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I do need to get a sponsor. I think I just haven't found one yet,
Yeah.
but I
How
do.
did you go about finding your last sponsor? Because I'm thinking of getting myself a sponsor myself, and I think it would be very beneficial for me. But what
Yeah,
process did you go through to find one?
you have to ask. If you go to a meeting, you like someone share and you like them, you listen to them, you're naturally drawn to them. I think you should
Mhm.
ask. The only what can they say? They can only say no, can't they? And they probably get asked all the time.
That's exactly true.
Yeah. So don't be disheartened if they do actually say no, because they've probably got loads on, but you have to ask people. And more or less, some of the time they'll probably, if you go up to them, talk to them, and have a friendship going on, they'll probably say, "Oh, do you want me to sponsor you?" And that's how you get.
That would be incredible. That would be incredible. See, I would love to continue this live after the hour if you'd like to, because I've
Of
got
course.
so many more questions. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So if you want, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pin in this right now then, so then I
Yeah.
can restart the live. I'm going to get myself another coffee and you can go do yourself the same. So I'm going to take about 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm about down to the same dregs.
Okay.
And I'm going to post this to my Instagram and then I will go live again and then jump in. And then I've got some more questions for you. And I'm excited to tell you about my plans this weekend as well. But with that, I'm going to put a pin in this. Everybody come join us back in 5 minutes. We're not going to be going for long. We just have to refresh.
Bye.
Ciao for now, everyone.